That's why we're out here. That's why we're mobilizing on the 15th. And I have to say, just on the 15th, we're going to be out here, not here precisely, it's Terry Shrunk Plaza at the World Trade Center on the 19th as well. Many of you may not have heard that the 19th is a national mobilization day. United for Peace and Justice is having actions in Washington, D.C. We are having actions here. That is, of course, the day marking 5 years of this criminal war in Iraq. And this week, we are kind of kicking off a little bit of a Portland Peaceful Response specific campaign. And we are asking the question, because, of course, we are hoping, I think, like the rest of the country, that indeed the Democrats will take the White House. Yeah, we're hoping that a Democrat instead of a Republican is in the White House, but we are asking the question, are they going to end this war? Are the Democrats going to end this war? Are they going to bring the troops home? And as Jeremy Scahill pointed out in yesterday's edition of Democracy Now!, are they going to not only bring home the American official troops, are they going to get those mercenaries the hell out of Iraq as well? And you know, maybe my language might be a little strong here. You know, they used to say, give them hell. And we are beyond that sort of quiet, civil point at this point. We're saying, get the hell out of Iraq.
Yeah.
And I would perhaps even use some other terms that I think the kids these days wouldn't shy away from. But for now, I'm just going to say, get the hell out of Iraq. That's the message we're bringing on March 15th and March 19th. What is the other news that we had this week? The other staggering news was the cost of this criminal war. And by cost, I'm speaking strictly of the financial costs, because we know the human costs are beyond estimates. We can't possibly comprehend the human cost of this war. Upwards of 1.3 million Iraqis killed. Thousands of American soldiers killed. Tens of thousands injured. Injuries, some that we can see when we see these poor soldiers that come home. And many of these injuries you cannot see when you look at these people. You can only realize how injured they are psychologically once you sit down with them and talk with them and experience how damaged they have been by the experience of war. $3 trillion is the estimate of the cost of this war. $3 trillion. You know, The Nation magazine said that we could have had 12 moon missions and Mars missions paid for. But I'm not interested in going to the moon, and I'm not interested in going to Mars. Can you imagine what kind of healthcare system this country could have? Could you imagine what kind of education system this country could have with $3 trillion? It's hard to grasp. They could have fixed the levee in New Orleans. They could have fixed the levees. They could probably assure Holland, in spite of global warming, a decent future without the threat of the oceans taking over that low-lying country with $3 trillion. But again, I'm not interested in building a levee around Holland. We just want a different kind of country here. We want a country that puts human life and human decency as the top priorities, not the profits of Blackwater, not the profits of Halliburton, not the profits of the oil companies. We're going to go out and make some noise right now. We've got the drum corps here. And again, you know, it's a little moist out here, but do we care about a few raindrops?
Hell no! Hell no!
When we have a message that we want to bring again and again to our fellow Oregonians, our fellow Portlanders. It's a message of peace. It's a message of justice, because you cannot have peace without justice. That's the peace of the grave. We have to have justice. We need justice not only in Iraq, we need it in Palestine. You know, this week, the Israelis lost a civilian to a rocket attack. And how did they respond? They responded by sending in the missiles provided by the United States. They killed a 6-month-old baby in the last day and a half in Gaza.
That's just collateral damage.
And it doesn't matter what the intentions of those Israeli pilots were. Maybe they were trying to just kill militants. But they routinely and consistently kill civilians, just as the Americans do in Iraq. And I say we should condemn the Israelis for those policies. But as Americans, we know that the numbers of civilians we have killed in Iraq dwarf those numbers in Gaza and the West Bank. And if we are to condemn the Israelis for their crimes, surely we must condemn ourselves for the crimes we have committed in Iraq and beyond. Equally vigorously. So on March 15th, and robustly, March 15th, tell your friends we need to be out there in great numbers. And we need volunteers for the action tent that PPRC is putting together, a constitutional rights action tent. I just got a call from the Center for Constitutional Rights. They're going to be sending us some materials. I want to make sure that we have none of those materials left after the March 15th action tent work. But we can't do that without your help, so please volunteer for that day to help us make sure that happens. I want to thank Michael Clayhold for these wonderful signs. I don't know if you've seen them here. This is just 2 of several new kinds of signs we're going to have out here, and they have the wonderful phrase across the top, will the Democrats, in this case, will the Democrats stop the war on immigrants? Will the Democrats shut down Guantanamo? And we can add to that, will the Democrats move to bring the Bush administration to account? Will the Democrats finally have impeachment hearings? Will the Democrats stop the warrantless wiretapping? Will the Democrats stop the Bush administration from giving immunity to these telecommunications firms who have all of our information, all of our personal information, the people we talk to? Will they hold them to account for those crimes? Will the Democrats do that? Not unless we crank up the pressure. Not unless we become engaged in this fight. So let's go out on the streets now. I'm hoping that, looks like we have some other announcements here. I'm hoping that we have a good chant leader. The drum corps is here. So we need a chant leader to make sure our voices ring tonight. Thank you very much for being out here in the rain. Everybody carries a sign. Let's not let these signs leave no sign behind. Let's have flyers for the rally.
Okay, we have one other thing going on. Just to kick off the March 15th rally beginning 1 week from this Sunday on March the 9th at 9 a.m. We will be setting up the Iraq Body Count exhibit at Portland State University. Each flag, white flag, will represent 6 Iraqi civilians dead. There will be red flags. We'd like all of the veterans to come up and plant 1 red flag for each American soldier killed. Again, that will begin March 9th at 9 a.m. in the morning. Assembly point will be in front of the Portland State University Library. We need all the volunteers we get because we only have to plant 124,000 flags beginning on Sunday, going on towards the march. Okay, thank you.
I've got one down on.
No War Drum Corps. Aren't these great? They're the people that give us our audible footprint in the city. We are Portland Peaceful Response. We're out here every Friday by the clock. The whole canoe of the road. You guys. Bring them back. Troops home now. Bring them back. Troops home now. Bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. 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 Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. Out of Iraq. Bring them back. Troops home now. that are coming up here. They're probably Hillary and Obama. Yesterday they had an opportunity to go on Democracy Now! To explain their policy in the Middle East. Who wouldn't jump upon a chance like that? But these guys don't want to talk about it. talk to anybody that won't confine their comments to redeployment.
Introduce you to
They want to
VFP
send it to
National
another
President.
district.
Oh, okay.
Probably get a few words for him too.
Good, good.
He's up here with Malcolm.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, imagine that, huh?
Thank you. No war drum corps. If you like that, if you're inspired by that, you come on down here every Friday. You can march with us. And a bonus, you can come down on the 15th of March, down to the South Park block. The No War Drum Corps is an inspirational group. You'll love to march with them. We are the Portland Peaceful Response Group. We're out here every Friday at 5 p.m. at Pioneer Square, trying to end this society that depends on war to survive. Trying to stop the war in Iraq, Afghanistan, prevent a war in Iran. End the occupation of Palestine. Good. Get the hell out. You know, we have 720 bases in this world, in about 135 countries. I'll give you a little clue. We're not over there teaching them baseball. We're over there to control their governments, to dictate their foreign policy. So come on down. We need your help. March with us. Come on down March 15th. Demonstration. 10 until 6 in the South Park blocks.
The power structure is still the power structure.
We're having elections coming up here, but the discourse is only what corporate America tells us. Let's do another chant on our way here, folks. We're out here every Friday, 5 p.m. Pioneer Square, trying Iraq, end the war in Afghanistan, stop the occupation of Palestine. Here's another chant for us. You can come on down and join us on Friday. United States, out of Iraq, end the occupation. United States, out of Iraq, end the occupation. United States, out of Iraq,
got some posters and flyers for the March 15th rally. Anybody would like them, come on over here and I'll let you have whatever you want, at least as many as I've got.
You got a few buttons?
I got only a few buttons, but okay.
Got a dozen or so.
Oh, do you already?
Okay, so anyway, I've got probably only 40 or 50 of the flyers. I've got more of the posters. I got 100 or so quarter-page flyers, so I want to get rid of them before I go home.
I have some of the special PPRC limited edition flyer, Get the Hell Out of Iraq. It has a picture of the origins of the peace sign, which is the semaphore sign for N and D, which is nuclear disarmament. It's a collector item. It's got the M15 mobilization, Get the Hell Out of Iraq. And then it's got all sorts of comical demands.
Oh, I need some humor. I need humor.
So if anybody would like a flyer or more than one flyer, they're welcome to it. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
There you go. And there may be one of those limited edition flyers that has the alternative wording for Get the Hell Out of Iraq. And I do think we ought to work on a chant. How do we get out of Iraq? We get the hell out of Iraq! How do we get out of Iraq? We get the hell out of Iraq! How do we get out of Iraq?
We get the hell out of Iraq!
Now! There we go. Alright.
Here's some of the quarter-page flyers. Anybody want some?
Yes. I'll take a few. And beginning a little over 1 week today, last week, the United States of America began positioning warships off the coast of Lebanon. Apparently Iraq is just a little bit too big a territory for us to handle. Now we're going to pick on somebody just a little bit larger. We all know what the connection is with this, and that is to connect the Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran, axis of evil. They are hell-bent on going into Iran and Lebanon and Gaza and wiping out more of humanity. Why? Because Israel tells us to do that. And if Israel says that we do that, that is exactly what we are going to do. Because you know what? The United States of America doesn't control our own political process anymore. AIPAC does.
Thank you.
Political disagreement with what he just said.
You use a false flag event to get us in there too.
America is imperialistic in its own right. It doesn't need Israel to make it imperialist.
Yeah.
It was imperialist long before Israel existed.
Well, the white man's occupying
They're just two unhappy campers doing it together right now.
Just ask you, in fact, hi, I'm Joe Anybody, and who are you?
I'm Elliot Adams, President of Veterans for Peace.
Uh-huh.
I'm out here from New York State.
New York State.
I'm out on the West Coast, been out here for almost a month, visiting our chapters, meeting our members on the West Coast. The East Coast seems a long ways away, so getting to know them on a personal level.
Right on.
But of course, that's all about trying to building the processes to end this war.
Uh-huh.
Not only this war, but end all war. We fought this war in Vietnam. We ended that war. Us vets that cried, never again. And here we are again.
Yes.
So now we did a great thing. After Vietnam, we were able to stop the war. And it was Bush who, when he went into Iraq, the first thing he said, Bush 1, said, we have finally buried the Vietnam syndrome in the sands of Iraq. Which shows us that they were trying for 30 years to restart war and finally succeeded.
Yeah.
So the first time we stopped war, but we didn't stop it permanently. But you know, that was a good first start. This time we have a second chance, and this time we have to stop all war permanently.
Right.
It takes time. I mean, there is this question, are we talking about ending this war, or are we talking about all war, ending all war? We cannot end all war on a Nicaragua or a Grenada or an El Salvador or a Philippines or a Bosnia or any of the other smaller invasions, because the American people don't get a chance to begin thinking about war. So we will wind up, if we're going to try to end war, we have to end it on a Vietnam or maybe in Iraq. I hate to talk about Iraq as being a window of opportunity, but we have a choice. We can either make Iraq a window of opportunity to end all war, or we can let this one slip through our fingers, in which case, what are we waiting for? A World War III? Nuclear holocaust? I don't know what. But I think we're better off at grabbing to seize the moment now and end all war now while we have the opportunity.
So you're out here from New York, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and have you met, right over here is Harvey from the Oregon chapter here, right? Yeah. How you doing, Harvey? You guys friends? Have you met before?
Oh yes, we met in St. Louis, National VFP Convention last August. And we had the honor of being two of those wearing the black berets. Matching, obviously anybody with a black beret is a good guy.
All right. I'll look for those black berets. I see you had three, you have another Veterans for Peace guy here with you. It's Malcolm. There's old Malcolm there, yeah. So you guys are represented pretty good here tonight at the 5 o'clock peace rally. That's good.
Yeah, if you'll pardon my dumbfounded look. You called
me.
Oh,
that's okay. We were talking about we were talking about you behind your back.
Jeez, some intel guy I am. I never even heard his name.
It was nice to officially meet. What was your name again?
Elliot Adams.
Elliot Adams. Okay. Are you going to be out here for the big March 15th? Are you kind
I'll
of
be back in Washington by the 15th. By the 8th, getting prepared for that. I got a high school. I have a high school to visit on the 7th in New York State, and then the 8th I have to be down in Washington. I'll be in Washington from the 8th right straight through to the 20th. We have an action on, well, whenever they let us out of jail. VFP has an action on the ground.
Whenever they let you out of jail?
Well, 19th will be all. 19th is the day of citizenship.
It's a direct action type of.
Or civil resistance, as the case may be. So.
You know, as a videographer filming people getting arrested, it just really tears me up to watch people putting themselves so much on the line. And literally getting arrested. It's just really, it's hard for me to film that stuff going on. It's very powerful stuff.
And that's one reason why it's effective, is it helps people understand that other people are putting that kind of commitment. It'd be an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.
If it only took my life to end this war, unfortunately, even that won't work. So we have to do a greater struggle, and it's a longer term thing, and we have to parse ourselves out. And maybe,
a few nights in jail somewhere.
A few nights in jail, anything, or whatever it takes. We have to do it. Sometimes what we do isn't effective, but we have to do whatever we can. It's too serious. We have our children dying in Iraq.
Yeah.
We have the whole wealth and economy of the nation being ripped off under the black cloak of war. And being deposited in the hands of the filthy rich. War is, of course, the greatest concentrator of wealth. War is also the greatest deprecator of rights. It was Dr. King who recognized that under the cloak of war, they were taking back all the rights that they gained during the discrimination movement, anti-discrimination movement.
Elliot was telling me a little earlier on how we as the peace movement are winning. And many of us don't realize that.
I was going to ask him, how does he feel like we're gaining here, and there's some hope?
Elliot?
I mean, think about it. There's no question we are winning this. Think about the polls. The polls are reversed. It was about 70% in favor of the war, 70% against the war.
Yeah.
The majority were in favor of Bush. The majority is against Bush. The list goes on. Look at the vigil. Go ask anybody in any vigil. I travel this country from coast to coast. I visit small desert towns, the big cities, and I love going on vigils. And every single vigil I visit, I get the same answer. Oh yeah, you can't believe the change. We used to get out here and we were all one finger peace signs, and they're now all 2-finger peace signs.
You bet, yeah.
I was at a vigil in San Diego recently where they are saying, well, we better put away that honk for peace sign because they're afraid it's making so much noise. The police we're going to arrest them for noise violation. You look at things like you think about Nancy Pelosi saying impeachment's not on the table. That was a tremendous success. Impeachment hadn't even been on a hill before that. My wife, I talked to my wife about impeachment, and she'd say, "Oh, Elliot, don't even waste your time on that. I mean, that's just like nobody's even going to listen to you on that one." But look at it now.
Yeah.
The Speaker of the House is saying, "Oh my God, get this thing out of here. The impeachment is not on the table." Oh no! And of course, the beautiful thing about it is when she did that, she put it right smack in the middle of the table.
Yep.
We made a national discussion. Think about everywhere you look. Think about the Great Warnings. Think about the thing that just happened in the Strait of Hormuz. Remember,
What just happened in the Strait of Hormuz?
remember what that's beautiful. They tried another Gulf of Tonkin.
Oh, well,
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah.
They tried another Gulf of Tonkin.
they did a very bad job.
Why
of
didn't
too.
it work? No, that's the...
People are aware?
It isn't that he did a bad job. There was more substance of that than there was in the Gulf of Tonkin. There was more substance of that than there was the sinking of the Maine. There was more substance of that than half the things. There's more substance of that than the lies about the yellow cake. There was at least something there.
Well,
How come it didn't work?
But the reality is, the American people didn't take the bait. They didn't buy it, and the thing it didn't even make U.S. news. It didn't even make Time. It was like a little tiny blur because the American people said, "Whoa, dude, we bought this one before. We don't want to buy this used car again. We already bought this used car once." And it's a tremendous victory. Believe me, that was a design to start a war with Iran. There are so many. I mean, you look everywhere. People say to me, "Oh, we had those big demonstrations before the war, and they didn't amount to anything." Well, we didn't get what we wanted because they started a damn war, but we did make a big impact. If it hadn't been for those early demonstrations, we would be in Syria and Iran right now, and we would have been there a long time.
I think every bit helps that we've been doing. And when you were saying we have a little hope and things seem like these vigils you're going to, there's some good positive coming out of them. I think while we got it while the ball's starting to flip to the other side, let's keep it rolling. Let's ramp it up hard and let's bring it on home. That's what I'm thinking.
I think we just keep pushing. I
Yep.
mean, people say to me, we have to raise the bar. We need something more radical. And I say, you have a problem with winning already? I mean, the reality is we're winning already. No, it doesn't happen. Rome wasn't built in a day. If your son doesn't graduate from college after 1 year, you don't pull out. You let him do the 4 years. I mean, that's the reality. We're talking about making big changes. It's not going to happen immediately. No war was won with a single battle. No social movement was won with a single action. It takes a little bit of time.
Yep.
Yes,
And,
that it does.
and when you see progress, when you see you're making progress, you should applaud it.
And we
that's what
do.
we have. As a peace movement, we are amazingly bad at recognizing. It isn't only a matter that we don't applaud our victories. We don't even do an accurate analysis of what's going on.
No, that's true.
We say,
Absolutely true.
"Oh my God, we're losing. Oh my God, nothing's happening."
Well, that's not very detailed, is it?
It's not very detailed, and it's inaccurate.
It's,
And even this vigil here, what's going on here, I'll put money on it that 4 years ago you couldn't have done it.
Well, this vigil's been going on for 5 years, every Friday for straight.
Well, so much for strike that one.
But you're
well, I understand what you're talking about, the changes in attitudes and everything. This is an anomaly here. This corner has actually been in use for 20 plus years on and off, almost constantly, over various anti-war issues from back Grenada. They were back in the 80s. They were doing demonstrations on that corner.
Wow.
So this one actually has some longevity. As a matter of fact, when the city was giving them a hard time about their using drums and bullhorn there, one of the defenses that was talked about was customary practice, because it really truly was something that had been done there in the mind of living man.
yeah.
Also referred to as traditional public forum.
Yes.
Is a legal term for some of that. Yeah.
Yes. And so it was actually kind of a protected area under that. That would have, of course, had to be brought out in court, but this was probably one of the few spots around where you could actually make that mistake.
Yeah.
So are you a full-time Veterans for Peace activist there?
Yeah.
You are?
It's not that I retire. I'm not getting paid. It's not that I retired. It's that how the hell can I worry about my future when we have our kids dying in Iraq?
Exactly.
I mean, give me a break.
I can't hardly do anything. I'm thinking the same as you.
About what's going to happen, how I'm going to feed myself, or what's going to happen 40 years from now when I'm an old man. When we, think about this. We got a bunch of gray hairs here. Think about the world, the America we were given. The America we were given. The America that believed in an 8-hour work week, an 8-hour work day, one that believed in a 40-hour work week. An America that believed that society had a responsibility to build a safety net to catch you if you fell and stand you back up as we do with our brothers and sisters. An America that believed in America that had this idea that there was freedom of speech everywhere, not in free speech zones.
The American dream.
The American dream. Think of that. Now, I ask you, think of the America that we are passing on to our kids or our grandchildren. That is a responsibility we have. We were given something, and we were as stewards, and we are not maintaining our stewardship.
Mm-hmm. So that motivates you, huh?
I don't see how it can't motivate everybody.
Yep. Well,
everybody to some extent.
I think all of us standing here motivates.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I have a hard time.
And then our job, our sole job as activists is to help other people see the truth and then empower them to do something about it.
Yeah.
Those two things. And I've come to the belief that that is our sole job, because we are not going to create change by ourselves. We're not going to make Congress is not going to change just because we say so, no matter how violent or no matter how dramatic or no matter what we do, unless we get big numbers. I mean, people say to me, "Oh, they talk about political leaders." Well, that's absurd. They ain't political leaders. They are slaves to the polls and the money. They ain't political leaders. Mm-hmm. They follow the polls and the money, and they have to. They have no choice. They're locked to them. So our job is to help the American people understand the truth and be empowered. Our job is to help the American people understand that democracy is not a noun, it is a verb. And that we had this idea, we lost ourselves when we got this idea that democracy is guaranteed by a body of laws. It's not. Democracy is guaranteed by the attitude of the people. Mm-hmm. The attitude of the people. People who say, no, that's not good for us, we are not going to have that, you're out of here. And I don't mean just in polls. I mean general strikes, limited strikes, demanding of it.
Standing up and speaking out. Being accountable.
Speaking out, being accountable. In every way we can. You know, people say to me about like VFD and like American Legion and VFW says, well, we're being non-political.
What?
if you believe in a democracy, then nothing is non-political. Even the way where you buy your coffee is political. That's why I don't buy Starbucks coffee. That's why I don't shop at Walmart. Everything you do is political, and probably the most powerful political statement you could make is to say, I'm not being political. Because that is total abdication, taking all your responsibility and giving it away. No, not giving it away, pushing it away, actively abdicating it. And that is probably the most powerful political statement you can make.
Going in the wrong direction, though.
Oh, yes. Absolutely the wrong direction.
Well, thanks a lot. I think we all probably got a roll.
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably have a million things to do.
Thanks for your work.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. All you veterans.
Thank you, Joe.
Harvey. Welcome. All right, buddy.